Welcome to the Diminutive Soldier. Diminutive because it's really small. Today, hope you like that little jingle there. Today we're going to talk about the board game Minotaur. Survive the labyrinth and break the curse by Lynnvander Studios. Minotaur is a 1 to 4 player game, so you can play solo. Little dungeon crawler, light dungeon crawler, exploring the labyrinth and trying to destroy the Minotaur. Let's show you some of the artwork of the game. The game is very much, as you can see from the artwork on the cover, is like an early video game pixelated artwork. Here's all the player standees. It doesn't come with miniatures, unfortunately. Something you'll learn about me is I'm a plastic junkie. I have a problem, and standees are generally a turn off for me. But here's the standees, some of them. There's a few more of some of the heroes you can play. Whoops. And they're little pixelated people. There's the Minotaur standee. And here's some of the hero cards. Some of the artwork on them. And everything, the card stock is really good. It's a thick card stock. The standees are your typical standees, cardboard, very typical. You have these health dials. As you take damage, you go down. Unfortunately, these are not, none of these are good. There's 4 of them in here. They're all very loose. And just on the table, I mean, they can easily be hit and it spins. I mean, it shakes, it spins. These aren't very done very well, to be honest with you. There's also, the game comes with these bags that have tokens in them, because as you explore the labyrinth, you're going to draw tokens. Red, generally bad. Blue, generally good. And you'll draw tokens out and see what comes in the dungeon. And they're just little tokens like this, just little cardboard tokens with that pixelated art on them. So in the gameplay, how you set up is first you start to build the labyrinth. You always start with, surprise, the start card. Then you have this deck of labyrinth cards. And to start, you're going to surround the start card with labyrinth cards and lay them out. And you always, when you're expanding and building the labyrinth, you always try to connect them the best you can. But you can lay them out any way you want. Sometimes it will be advantageous to you to lay them out where these skulls, what they are spawn points for enemies, where they may be farther away from you. So let's build a quick dungeon. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Boom, bang, boom. That one can't connect, and that's totally fine. Whatever. That's just a quick dungeon. And let's say we're gonna have a hero. We're gonna have this one, a cleric, starting the start space, and let's have the warrior, also starting the start space. You're gonna then get their cards. You got the cleric's card and the warrior card, which I'll break down what all this means on them in a moment. The back of the cards, it's a little cheat sheet, what the player's actions are, and what each token means. So it's nice as it on the back of every card. You then, when you're building the labyrinth, or as it expands, as you explore and you draw more cards out, for every skull icon you draw out of this deck to see what spawns there. So let's say I pick this one right here. I'll draw this card. When this happens, when you're doing spawning, ignore this left side. This is only for when the Minotaur, if he comes on the board and how much health he has. We'll get to that later. Ignore it. You're looking right here to spawn on skulls. So that one, for instance, it's going to have 3 blue tokens. And that's where you pull that blue bag out. You draw 3 blue tokens. Bing, bang, boom. What are they? Generally, they're good things. This time, it's a harpy, which is a bad guy monster. They don't actually attack. The harpy has a special ability where it grabs items and tries to run away with them. And so it comes with traps. There's traps there, which Let's trap, whatever. And here's a half of a medallion. This is the objective right here. What you're trying to do is go through the labyrinth and collect these medallion halves to make whole medallions. So for instance, that's the red one. Once you get all three and make holes, you win the game. So if I got that in the other half, I'd stick it here, so forth and so on. You cover them all up, you've won the game. So you fill in all the other spawn places. So let's just say this one right here is going to be 2 blue, 2 red. Oh, there's another medallion half. It's a yellow one. This is a magic barrier. So it will block an exit. You can decide which one to put it on. So maybe this one going that way. And the only way to get through there is to use a magic, try to dispel the magic barrier as an action, which we'll get into. And it said 2 red. There's another harpy. The harpy now picks up that medallion. In fact, this one does here too. Now the only way to get those medallions is to kill the harpy. There's a brick wall that you have to bust through, and it can stack on top of that magic barrier. And then for the one up top, we have nothing. 0, 0. Nothing spawns there. So that's your basic setup. The Minotaur does not start on the board. He can come later. So on your turn, the players go, and the players have 2 actions each. They can move. They can double move. And your movement is based on your card. For instance, the warrior starts with 20 health. He can only move 1 space. So most of them are 1 space. There's only a few that are 2, I'd say. Or it looks like it may be even, yeah. But so it's pretty slow movement. Cleric also can only move 1. So, like I said, you have 2 actions. You can move. You can use an action to pick up an item or to drop an item. You can use an action to use an item. You can use an action to remove a broken barrier. And you can use an action to do a class action. Now, all the other actions, your basic actions, I'd say moving, picking up items, et cetera, you can do twice in a turn. Each one of these you can only do once in a turn. And what these mean, this one says Berserk. This is an attack. It says you'll roll 2 dice. Subtract 1 from your roll. But this one, you'll attack all monsters in an area at range 0, so in your space. This one, Crush. Roll 2 dice. Add a 1 to a single monster in your area. This one, Battle Cry. You Battle Cry, you give it to an ally or yourself, and they can re-roll their next roll this turn, whether it be an attack or something else. Down here, how you get rid of traps or walls or barriers. This one you roll 1 dice, so he's not really good at getting rid of traps. Dispelling magic barriers, he's real bad at it. But breaking down walls, very good at it, as you can see. But like I said, one of the actions you can use is to pick up items. So there's none on the board right now, but let me draw an item. There's different items that you can use to help. Did I draw any? Are you kidding me? Let's see. There's swords. Yeah, okay. There's a sword, for instance. So you can pick up a sword, and your character carries it. Well, actually, these medallions are also items. Pick it up and carry it. There's a big downside, though. You can only carry 1 item at a time. So the medallions count as an item. You have to have 2 of them to connect them, to combine them, to put on the Minotaur. Remember, you need all 3 to win the game. So if you're carrying this medallion, if you want to carry the sword to give you a bonus to attack, you got to drop the medallion in your space, which means then you'll have to go back and pick it up again while moving forward to try to complete the objective. So you can only carry 1 item at a time. It limits you pretty greatly. Now, when moving, let's just say this guy was right here, and he wants to use an action to move and explore further into the labyrinth. In order to do so, you spend a movement point, declare you're moving here, and then it's like an old school video game where it's rolling this way. You're rolling like on your TV screen that way. This side goes away, and all tokens on it are now discarded. These cards now discarded. And then you draw 3 more labyrinth cards to place over here. And you can place them. Oh my gosh, that's a bad. Let's just see. Okay, I'm going to replace one just to show you. So you want to place them to your benefit, which the last one with 3 skulls was terrible. So for instance, I'm going to want to place this one right here where nothing will spawn there that I'll have to deal with. Because I use one action to move, now I may only have one action left to attack. Or let's say I moved twice to get there and I had no other actions. If it was that skeleton one, the skull, I'm sorry, and monsters spawn there, I'm screwed. I mean, I'm screwed. And also, every time you explore a new area like this and you build the labyrinth, you check to see if the Minotaur arrives. How you check is you draw one of those spawn cards again. Now you're looking at this side. It says these 3 circles are if he has any of those medallions on him. So if he has none on him, he does not arrive. If he has 1 on him in this one, he does not arrive. If he had 2 medallions, he arrives with 3 health. And they're varied like crazy. So let's say we drew this one. He has no medallions. He arrives with 2 health. And he arrives on your spot. And he starts with 2 health. So you have his card, and you'll lay a little health token on the number 2, little heart, that shows he's there with 2 health. So he's there now. If that happened, you got to deal with him. Let's say, for the sake of the explanation, the warrior had 1 more action. He's going to try to damage the Minotaur. He's going to do crush. Roll 2 dice and add 1. Oh no. So add 1, that's a 4. How you see if you damage is there's these deck of cards. These deck of cards are used to see if what you have to roll to damage enemies, and it's used when enemies attack you, what their number is. So you flip one over for the Minotaur, 7. I only got a 4, so I did not damage him, but not only did I not damage him, I take the difference in damage, so which would be 3. So now I didn't hit him, and the Minotaur attacked me. I started at 20. I'm down to 17 health now because of that. Now I don't have any more actions. Let's say he already went, didn't have any actions left either. Now the bad guys go. When the bad guys go, the bad guys can move. The bad guys attack, and they have some of them act differently than others. But in this situation, say the Minotaur goes, well, he doesn't have to move. And with the Minotaur, he has a special rule where if he doesn't have to move, he can attack twice. You're seeing a situation, a scenario that is very painful here. That happens pretty frequently when you're exploring the labyrinth. It can. So the Minotaur is going to flip a card over. Boom, you take 8 damage. Straight up, you can't defend it unless you have a special ability, which I don't. So taking 8 damage. Guess what? That's 17. Oof. Minotaur gets attack again. Let's see what's going to happen. 6 damage. Guess what? I went from full health all the way down to 3. And which makes this really, really rough is if 1 hero dies, game completely over. Game over. That's tough because this can happen easily. That space could also, if you remember, could have been a skull, spawn more monsters. They would also have attacked. Same thing. Say there was a skeleton in there. Well, I draw a card. Boom, 7 more damage. Would have killed my guy, dead. That's like turn 2 in the game. And it happens, and it's rough. It's a tough game. The game's hard because of many reasons. One, you can only carry one item if you remember. That's it. And your heroes don't level up. This is their card. This is their abilities. That's all there is. All you can do to mitigate and try to help is, for instance, pick up a sword that gives you +1 on all rolls that target monsters. It's just +1. A ring that just gives you +1 on other rolls that don't target enemies. So that's like trying to do one of these. You have a Pegasus. It's a really good, powerful one. You can use it, spend it to ignore all damage. You have a Banishing Light that you can discard it to deal 3 damage to the Minotaur, which is good. And so you have these things you can pick up. Here is a couple bad guys. There's a skeleton. He can attack or move, and an elite skeleton, which he can move and then attack, or he can move twice. So it's a tough game. Only carrying one item really limits what you can do, especially when you're having to carry objectives too. The Minotaur just popping up and automatically whacking you is tough. And one hero dying, losing the game, is really, really, really tough. But that's kind of the overview of the game. I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So here's my final thoughts on Minotaur, the game by Lynnvander Studios. It's tough. It's not an easy game. I expected you look at it, you see the aesthetics and what's there, and it's not that complicated at all. You think it's, oh, this would be a fun, family-friendly game to play with the kids. It's not, because you're probably just going to lose a lot. It looks that way, but it's too hard, to be honest with you. And like I stated earlier, carrying one item, I think to make the game work, it needs to be house ruled. And for instance, a house rule where maybe the medallion, the objectives you have to carry, don't count as an item. So you can hold a medallion, and then you can hold one of something, an actual item, a sword, the ring, the Pegasus, whatever. Maybe a house rule where if your hero dies, you don't lose the game. You can either do it where the other hero can continue, which isn't that fun for the other players, or you can do it where if your hero dies, you lay them on the side. And there are ways to heal. There's healing potions you can find. There's heroes that heal, like the cleric can roll dice and give life. So maybe you can house rule it where you go to that spot. You can do that. You can heal the dead person and bring them back. They may only come back with 4 health, but they're back in the game. And then if every hero dies, they lose. But that's house ruling. I personally am not a fan of house ruling. I just want to play the game as it is and hope it works. And to me, it's just okay. So I have friends who told me after my last video, hey, give it a score. Why don't you give it a score, man? And I was like, I don't know how to score things. So I figured out a system, okay? Go in the description below. You'll see my scoring system. We'll break it down from 0 to 100. And so 100, for instance, is a mind-blowing and genre-altering game. That's 100. And 0 is the game's broken. Like, what is this? Is broken. I give this one about a 60. A 60 is it's all right. It's not bad, but it has its faults. And this does. Exploring is fun. I love dungeon crawlers. I'm a dungeon crawler junkie. I think it's fun going exploring and building the labyrinth and seeing where you go. There's ways I didn't even get to. You can go down stairs and to create a whole new labyrinth, get rid of the map, start a whole new one. Yet again, that Minotaur might show up and knock you, though. But it's fun. It's all right. Am I going to keep it in my collection? No. And so, in fact, this could be yours. That's right. Minotaur, the game, and my personal collection can go to you. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel and comment below. Anything. Comment whatever the heck you want to say. I don't care. You could just comment and say, give it a boop. Or you can comment and say what you would bring in the labyrinth to defeat the Minotaur. Would you bring a sword? Would you bring an M1 Abrams? Just comment below. Subscribe and comment. By June 1st of 2023, I'll pick a random winner and I will ship you this game. You see what you think. If you win the game, let me know, hey, your score sucked. It's a 75. Or say, hey, I agree. Or hey, it's a lot lower than that. Just let me know what you think. I'm actually curious. But anyways, subscribe, comment below. By June 1st of 2023, I'll pick a random winner, send you this game. Thanks for joining me. Diminutive Soldier, out.